St. David's path discussion without objection from my fellow colleagues. Okay. So I'll begin the discussion. On January 25th, 2010, the Board of Supervisors adopted a motion by a vote of 4-3 to release an escrow in the form of a letter of credit to St. David's Golf Club covering site improvements for the construction of a macadam path along the north side of Upper Gulf Road. At our next meeting on February 8th, we had what I would characterize, to put it mildly, as a rather lively discussion on this matter. On the one hand, a number of us acknowledged that the process we utilize in getting to that vote could have been better. We also received numerous comments from members of the community, many of whom are here again this evening, who attended the meeting and expressed that in so acknowledging, asked that we find a way to try and find and do something different so the public and the community at large might have a better opportunity to express themselves. With these thoughts in mind, I have a motion I plan to offer in a few moments that I hope offers a solution which hopefully accomplishes these goals and that a majority of my colleagues will find acceptable. So what I would like to do now is read the motion. Hopefully I'll have a second, explain generally some of the underlying thoughts that went into the motion. I would then entertain comments from my fellow board members, perhaps Ms. Gleason, and then open it up to the public for comment. So with that said, I hereby move that the board's motion of January 25th regarding St. David's be reversed and rescinded, and do hereby further resolve that the Board of Supervisors form a joint subcommittee with the Planning Commission and the staff to begin a process to re-examine where the community wants and needs sidewalks, with the goal that this board may adopt more formal policies and procedures to provide additional guidelines relative to design, development, and construction of the sidewalks and paths in the township at large. At a minimum, this reassessment should address both the timing, prioritization, funding sources, the conditions upon which the Planning Commission may from time to time grant relief from our land development ordinance, and recommend any other changes that this prospective new policy might require. While the subcommittee process takes place, neither the board or the township will be formally moving to compel St. David's to build the path until the new policies are adopted or the township has put in place designs and funding for sidewalks or paths that would connect to the proposed St. David's pathway. The subcommittee, in carrying out its reassessment, will seek input and participation from the public and the committees involved, which necessarily will include, of course, the Planning Commission and the staff. That concludes my motion.
I second.
Thank you. So, in discussing this motion very generally, the motion, it's one motion that accomplishes, I think, two thoughts. One, it addresses citizen concerns that were raised at our last meeting that help to better align our actions with our process. With regard to the release of the escrow and St. David's Golf Club, St. David's has confirmed their continued obligation to ultimately construct a path. Relative to the escrow, while this board took action at our last, as a result of our vote on the 25th to begin the process of formally releasing the action, we never did complete that transaction, hoping that we could, based on community input, find another way. And hopefully that's one of the things that this motion accomplishes. And then the second part, which I think is most important, is, in my view, getting us back to where we probably should have been all along. And that's to enter into a dialogue with the Planning Commission, with the staff, with the community on just what is the process for, as I outlined in the motion, for paths in the township at large, without wishing to diminish at all the very hard work, the gargantuan effort that the Planning Commission and this community put into putting in place the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan did, in fact, contemplate additional action where guidance could be provided on how the comprehensive plan would ultimately be implemented. In fact, as recently as last May, Mr. Scott, in a memo to the board at that time, outlined a working group that the Planning Commission at the time was working to put together working groups to go through the comprehensive plan in detail and come to some agreement across the whole broader spectrum of things that the comp plan seeks to accomplish, not just sidewalks, but other areas as well. So what this motion does, is formalize that activity in the form of a subcommittee. Our plan is to initiate our work quickly in March with the goal to conclude this process by the end of this year. You know, it's my hope that we can move forward together, looking forward to hopefully good work by this proposed subcommittee, and move forward and not necessarily look backwards. That concludes my comments. Other board member comments? Ms. Gleason, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Mr. Chairman, just that to, I guess, endorse what you had said, this is an idea that has been discussed for quite a while now. There is a recommendation in our comp plan, as you said, to have a very public process to refine what's called the Green Routes Network in the comprehensive plan. There were volunteers who worked on a committee that created the comprehensive plan. That's a land use plan for the township that was adopted by the Board of Supervisors about a year ago. It includes a Green Routes Network that some of the volunteers in that committee, along with members of the Planning Commission and the STAP, which is the Sidewalk, Trails, and Paths Committee, had put together, showing priority areas long-term for a sidewalk, trails, and paths network in Tredyffrin Township. The idea was to have public meetings in different areas of the township to get more detailed input, to come up with a more detailed plan. All that's showing on the Green Routes Network now in the comp plan are just roads to be targeted. There's no specifics. Is it a sidewalk? Is it bike lanes? Is it a trail? And how will people use this, and try to get really more focused input. So that would be the idea of that project if this does go forward. So I think one of the very important parts of that would be trying to encourage the public to come out and help us get more of that detail down.
Thanks, Mimi. I did have a conversation with Mr. Whalen, the chairman of the Planning Commission, who's generally amenable to the formation of the subcommittee. I think you had talked to the chairman of the staff. I talked on the way in this evening to the president of St. David's Golf Club, who also is, they were part of the discussion, is generally amenable to the motion as well as the subcommittee. And again, as I said, they recognize their continued obligation. And as I said, the escrow with adoption of this motion is not released, and the action from our 25 January meeting with this motion is reversed.